All
Hi.
right. Well, welcome, folks.
Got
This is
Barbara.
another Great Voice Spotlight training. We're going to focus on audiobooks tonight because Paul Costanzo, my special guest, is a fantastic narrator, and we're working this month on audiobook characters into June. June is audiobook character month. So if this is something that you think you might want to do, and you might, because otherwise you probably wouldn't be here tonight, then you are totally in the right place. So let me get this show on the road. Hello, Donna from the Great
Hello,
Voice
Susan. Hi,
Support Team.
everyone.
Donna is our master of customer success. And we also have Deborah on the line. I think I said, did I see Deborah out in LA? Let's mute
I
her.
believe you did. Yes, you
Let's
did. Hello,
unmute Miss
Deborah.
Deborah. Hi, Deborah.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, nice to see you, and
Nice
nice
to
to
be
see all of
here.
our friends. This is awesome. Yeah, so we're talking about the secrets of character development in audiobooks. It's a big deal. And before we get into it, just a quick reminder to please turn off your phone, your text, or your chat so you can give us 100% of your attention tonight. A quick reminder, guys, I'm doing a podcast every month, and it's called, wait for it, the Great Voice Company Podcast. Just we couldn't think of a name, but it'll be really easy for you to find, and I'll tell you why it's such a great thing because what we do in every episode is I actually coach two members of our community. I interview them, you get to know them and coach them. And so it's like having a real voiceover class. It's like being able to listen in on a private coaching session. And we're getting great feedback. So I really appreciate it if you guys would check it out and like it and comment and share it with your friends. So it's the Great Voice Company podcast. Now, if this is the first time on one of our spotlight trainings, would you please come in the chat and type first time so we can welcome you? Okay. Hello, Karen. Hello, Kathy. Good to see you guys. Welcome. Welcome to our community. And Teresa got an iPhone telling us it's the first time. So's Nadine. Look at that, Donna and Deborah. Good group of people tonight.
Oh,
Donald Peterson. Welcome, Donald. And Steve and Val. Look at all these folks. Kimbrel, Carlos, Michelle. You guys picked a great night to come. Jare. All right. Good stuff. So, in our time together tonight, the topic is how to become an audiobook narrator with a stable of memorable characters without getting confused, stuck, or doing it wrong. And this is for you if you're just starting out, you're wondering if narrating audiobooks could be for you. You want to be better able to create and voice characters, and you want to give audiobook voice buyers what they want. Understand performance secrets of audiobook pros, sound like the audiobook narrators you hear, and get details on how to narrate audiobooks like a pro. Sound good? Yes. Okay. We'll keep going. So, why should you listen to me? Well, I am the signature voice of Citibank. And for many years, I was the voice of AT&T as well. I come from a radio background. I did that for over 15 years, and I worked with Howard Stern for a couple of years at the end of my radio career. I am a working professional voice talent. I do voiceovers every darn day and have done so for over 30 years. And I had so much fun doing it. I founded greatvoice.com, where I also teach people like you to have successful voiceover careers. And I've done that for a long time too. I've written a few books. You probably have Voiceover Secrets Exposed. Speak to Influence is another one. And I am was featured in the New York Times, CNBC, and ABC News. Do we see Paul yet, Donna?
Yeah, I
There
am
you
here.
are. Oh, look at you. That's great, Paul. This is Paul Costanzo, my
Hey, everybody.
special guest, Paul. You look great. So, Paul is a voice actor. He is a renowned director and in demand narrator of hundreds of audiobooks by best selling authors. Paul, there's just too many for me to even mention. Paul and I are really good friends. He's a wonderful colleague, just a terrific voice talent, and a great teacher. And I love how Ruth Francisco, one of the authors whose book you voiced, Paul, said you had a golden whiskey voice with a bit of a rumble, a bit of grit, both reassuring and seductive.
That's very, very kind of her.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so in the chat, please tell me, are you interested in becoming an audiobook narrator? Look at this. I don't know if, can you see the chat, Paul, on your screen?
I can. I can.
See, look at all these people
Yeah.
they're
They,
totally in the right room. Wow. Steve says, absolutely. Christine, yes, I am. Nadine, yes, says Kathy, Catherine, Nikki. Wow, you guys are in for a treat tonight. And if you are already an audiobook narrator, how many books have you voiced? Just give me a number. One, two, one and a half, three. Oh, look at this. Sky's done three, Paul. Uh, Brian's been reading aloud all his life. So few people here. Michelle, zero. 25 for David Wandel. That's great. Remy's done 10. Hey, Remy, one of my private
nice.
clients. Lou did one. That's awesome. Okay, so Paul, a few people that have done these before and probably want to do them better, and just about everybody else is a newcomer.
Hmm.
And let's talk about why audiobooks. Why now? You know, there's many voiceover niches. Audiobooks is a good one. That the sales are going up by over 15% a year. Over $8 billion in audiobooks have been sold, Paul. It's astounding, isn't it?
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They're so great to listen to. And that is over 80,000 titles produced a year. It's just mind-boggling. You know, we throw these numbers around. I mean, 80,000 books would fill, I don't know, a space like how big that would be, but it's crazy. That's a lot of titles, and that means there's room for you. It is the perfect work from home money hobby. It really is. And it's a
Hmm.
great passion
Hmm.
pastime. Now, here's what's new. You know, publishers are seeking talent now that reflects the experience of a book's author and characters. Here are three wonderful narrators of color that were featured in an article in the New York Times. And you can't go wrong if you want to check out the audiobooks thing and listen to anything that was narrated by Janina Edwards, January Lavoie, or Corey Hite. Do you know these guys, Paul?
Not personally, no. I know the names.
Yeah, they're really great. Terrific, terrific narrators. So Paul, let's get the AI elephant off the table and talk about that right now. 'Cause
Hmm.
that's a question we get. You know, people go, "Well, what about AI? Is this I'm interested in doing audiobooks, but like is this going to impact my work? Is it going to get rid of voiceover as we know it?" Well, I'm going to tell you a true story. An audiobook narrator named Adam Werner, who is also an instructor here, he was hired to narrate a series of books for a major publisher. He read the first book, but then the rights holder decided to do the rest with AI. Well, Adam was disappointed, but he had many other books to narrate it, so he just went on to the next one. But then the reader feedback on the AI narrated book was so bad that the rights holder immediately hired Adam back to complete the remaining books in the series. And
Oh, great story.
what were you going to say?
Great story. Great story.
It's true. And, you know, Paul, this is one of many I am hearing from the field. I can give you right away five, six stories of other voice talents who had something similar in all the different niches. So you guys do not need to worry. And yes, there are audiobooks narrated by AI, but people do not like them. And maybe if it's just like a textbook or something that you don't really care. But for anything that is good writing and is great fiction, no, people notice it and they really do care. So it is not going to take away your microphone. So
Yep.
uh,
There's no heart. There's AI has no heart.
AI has no heart and no art,
Yep.
and there's no one there, no nuance. It can't be directed. So much of what, as you'll see when we get into our topic tonight with Paul, you know, you said something to me, Paul, when we were preparing our upcoming workshop that we're doing together in a couple of weeks. You said, you know, when you're working on developing audiobook characters, you read the book and think about how that character makes you feel. So there's just a lot of internal work. Like you're really becoming a voice actor. You really are a voice actor. And, it's insulting to think that actors are going to disappear. Absolutely, they're not. It's ridiculous. So, anything you want to add to that before I talk about how the payment?
No, I mean, you kind of covered it. I mean, you can't replace a human being. You can't place the heart. You can't place the empathy. You can't replace that with AI. They will have accuracy, and it's just the monotony of the delivery. I mean, there's so much on YouTube that is voiced by AI, and it starts to become like nails on a chalkboard board after a while, because it's just one note. There's no nuance. There's no song. There's no song to
No
the.
song, no music at all. Yeah, thank you, Paul. So here's how narrators get paid, you guys, so you can get a sense of what the potential is here. So roughly speaking, there are two ways to get paid by the rights holders, either the publisher, it's the author, or someone else who has the rights to the book. So ACX is Audible's audiobook creation exchange, which matches book producers and authors together and with talent, right? So the first way is by royalty share, which means that you get paid only if the book sells. Now, sometimes that can be a lot of money if you choose wisely and you narrate a series of books by an author who's popular. I know people that have really done extremely well. But many times, if you don't choose wisely, you might see very little or even no money at all. The other way is per finished hour. And I would say, Paul, that the average per finished hour rate is somewhere between $250 and $350. Does that make sense?
It's the
Easy.
ballpark. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Of course, some people might get more, others less as they're starting out. And some people even do a combination of royalty share and per finished hour that they negotiate with the rights holder. So as I said, the royalty shares can be zero or actually as much as $2 per audiobook sold, which it can be very, very nice if the book is a bestseller or quite popular. And it doesn't even need to be from a known author. So Pamela Almond, who is a professional narrator that is a friend of mine, voiced a whole series of cozy murder mysteries. And Brownies and Betrayal was one of them. Muffins and Murder. I mean, they sound so cheesy, but they sold like crazy, and she gets a royalty check from those every single month from those little cheesy books.
Yeah,
And look, an experienced full-time narrator can make six figures a year. Adam Werner supports a family of five on his audiobook narrations, but that's all he does. He's narrating every day, six
that's
hours a
awesome.
day. Yeah, he's in his home studio. So to get started, you do need a professionally produced demo. And unlike other forms of voiceover, in audiobooks, they want to hear clips. Now, a clip is actually you reading a segment of a book, about a minute or two of a book. Some people might go a little longer. No music, but you want to choose a section that really showcases these things. So, fiction, you want to showcase dialogue, male and female, two men, two women, different age ranges, just so you can showcase that you can transmit, you can portray characters. And that's actually what we're talking about tonight and in our upcoming training with Paul. You might want to showcase first person fiction or nonfiction, even. And anything you're especially good at, like accents, dialects, or age range. Anything you want to add to that, Paul?
No, just the things that you're comfortable with and that you feel are your strongest suits. That
Yeah.
you put your best foot forward, and I think that's easy enough to do because clips in the old days, it used to be 5 minutes, of clips of the different, whether it be narration or commercial or audiobook, and now it's so short now. I think in a way it makes it easier because you don't have to reveal that much, but what you do reveal really needs to be your strongest suit.
Yeah, your strongest suit. And so just so you guys understand, you're actually reading three segments from three different books. No music, but you're really, like Paul says, showing your strongest suit. So look at all the different types of audiobooks you can narrate, you guys. I want to know, take a look at this and tell me in the chat which ones appeal to you. There's science and fantasy fiction, self-help, all kinds of fiction, mystery, thriller, suspense, romance, erotica, biographies, memoirs, historic, political and economic, business, sales, marketing, medical, finance, political, young adult, children's, religious, meditation guide, Christian themes, paranormal, poetry, and probably a lot more. And Paul, do you happen to know which is the best-selling niche?
Best selling? I don't.
You know
Oh,
what it is?
what
Murder
is?
mysteries, mystery and suspense.
Okay. Okay.
Those are the best selling.
I
Sci-fi's
was
up
just
there.
looking at all those listings there, and I was thinking, how many have I done? And pretty much everything except children's. My book is not a children's voice, but everything I think I've done.
I was looking at your website, which we can take a look at a little later. They cast you in a lot of like mafioso
People,
books.
yeah, people love my mafia books. It's funny. I mean, and some of the authors that I've read for, I've seen appear on YouTube when they do mafia specials, and they
Oh
quote
wow.
these authors, especially the five families. But the comments are the best that people make. They're like, which of Paul Costanzo's characters did you like in this book? And he said, the Italian one. They're all Italian.
They're all Italian. That's so great. But how nice that you have a sub niche that people appreciate you for. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
It's great. So look at Joanna. We'll do them all. Dave likes the Christian stuff, medical books. We got Christine. Most of these, except for a few. Some people in cowboy western. Roxanne likes romance. Monty for erotica. Kimbrelli poetry, mystery, romance. Carlos. Oh, sports is. You're right, Carlos. I should have sports is absolutely a niche. Forgive me, for
yeah,
sure.
true, true.
Uh,
And really, in the beginning, you should say yes to just about everything.
Like Nadine, Paul, she wrote, I would try any genre. That's the spirit,
Mhm.
Nadine.
Because you find out what you're good at, you find out what you'll never do again. Like I will never read another statistic book, but you do, it's interesting to see if they cast you, just say yes, and see where you go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Vicky wants Mystery and Suspense, Christian themes, Karen too. Uh, let's see what else. Brian wants to read from the Great Gatsby, Karen, Cozy Mysteries. You guys get the idea.
Yeah.
A lot for you to think about. So, fiction is obviously the most popular type, and to succeed as a fiction narrator, you need to know how to create and sustain a never-ending stream of memorable characters. You're doing them all, every single character in that book. So, the challenge is you get minimal input from the author and the publisher about the characters, don't you, Paul? I mean, I guess you get lucky if they're specific with you. What's that like?
The only time I got specific input from an author was a very big author that I read for that really got me into the business, reading her books with Catherine Coulter, where she had a definite idea and she lived close by. So I went over there and read my interpretation of the characters, which fortunately she liked. But she gave yay or nay or things. And that's the only time I ever did that. Every other time you're on your own.
Yeah. You record 15 minutes of the book, you send it back to them. If then they make any notes, they comment, and then okay, we're good. And then you rock and roll, you get the book done.
Right.
And they can have hundreds of characters, Paul. For example, there are 35 main characters in the Harry Potter books, in all of the seven books. That was the actor Jim Dale, right? And
Jim
over,
Dale.
I'm sorry?
Jim Dale, yeah,
Jim
magnificent.
Dale, yeah. And there were over 700 incidental characters. I mean, that's phenomenal work. You should listen to them, whether you like Harry Potter or not, just to see his
Absolutely,
artistry,
absolutely.
right?
Great homework. Great
Yeah,
homework.
yeah. And so, consistency is the other great challenge, Paul, because a character might appear in chapter one and then not until chapter eight. What do you do to stay consistent,
Well, I
right?
know that reading about what Jim did with that because there were so many characters. He literally had a cassette tape next to him that he had little snippets of the different characters to keep them consistent and throughout the book, as it was just a monumental task.
Yeah. Yep. We're going back some years. I mean, these days it's a little easier on the computer, but yeah.
Mhm. And
That's
now
one
you,
way to do it, but you still have to remember what you did and where they appeared. And from the character appears in a future book in a series. So that is a challenge.
yeah, people pay attention. I mean, if you get a character on page 15 and you don't hear from that character again until page 150, you want to be able to drop in and keep that consistent.
Yeah, that's great. Now, books can take months to complete. And of course, it's going to depend upon the deadline. But as Paul was saying, it's easy to forget what you did pages ago. And if you're not careful, certain characters can strain your voice, Paul. Do you have anything to say about that? Being
Yeah,
careful.
absolutely. You want to choose characters that are especially ones that are going to reappear throughout the book. You don't want to make a choice of a character where the characteristics are going to strain your voice because you'll just ruin yourself. You want to
Yeah.
make those, doable and not you can do little interesting characters that might strain your voice for short little characters that don't appear again, just to kind of pop out of the book. But for those characters, you want to make it interesting, but not straining on your vocal cords.
Yeah. Meaning anything too high or too low outside your range, anything too
Too,
rough.
too rough, right? All of those things that
Yeah,
would irritate.
your voice for sure. So there are three surprising ways to create characters that hold up for hundreds of pages in multiple books. And the first one, it seems silly. Imitate real people you know. Now the trick, Paul, is that we'll never be 100% accurate in that. But that person you know inspires us to create a character, doesn't it, Paul? What do you have to say about that?
Well, it's if you all of us have lived interesting lives and had interesting people in our lives, and everyone on this what would you call it, a podcast right now, they are
Spotlight training.
that spotlight training uh, is here because they're interested in characters. And I'm sure you've mocked people or tried to recreate characters in your lives that, as you tell a story or, within the family that you grew up in, that you try to create those characters. And those are the ones that you know best. And I say you start there. I've used a lot of people in my life, years of living in New York City or in my family. Those should be your go-tos. Those should be your go-tos. And then from there, you branch off.
Right. And so I just want to add something. It doesn't need to sound exactly like that person, but in your mind, in your brain, you're thinking of that person, and then a certain sound of voice comes out, right, Paul?
Right, exactly.
A-
Exactly.
And when you say you branch off, so you might use, Uncle Harry, but with a Texas accent, or Uncle Harry talking 5 times faster than he normally talked, or
Right.
Uncle Harry with a whispery voice, something like that.
Right. Exactly.
He's like
Exactly.
the root voice of that character. Does
You
that
could
make
use,
sense, guys? I mean, Paul and I just gave you a big professional tip here. Come in the chat and let me know if that makes sense.
yeah, let us know if we're
I
getting
like it. Roxanne says yes. Brian's been doing it for decades. Lisa, Christine, and Roxanne agree. Good place to start. Okay. Now, this one I love, Paul. Bad impressions. How does that work?
right. Well, I think a way to work that is to find somebody that is in maybe the public eye and just do an impression of them, and purposely, what your interpretation of them, which would probably be a bad impression. So ultimately, you want to have fun with all of this. This should be enjoyable. The only time it wouldn't be enjoyable if you choose something that's too complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated. The subtlety in all of this is really what's important. You could use Uncle Harry uh, in a conversation with three people if you colored Uncle Harry three different ways.
Yeah. So you meaning use the same root, the same Harry,
Same
but
Harry,
color
and
him three different ways.
maybe
Change.
he's earthy, maybe he speaks a little quicker than the other Uncle Harry. That those are the subtle ways with which you differentiate a conversation so that the listener can tell who's talking.
Yeah. Michelle says she finally gets to mock for her family members.
And get paid for it.
I'm going to share a story that I heard about the team that voiced all the Looney Tunes cartoons, like Mel Blanc and all those guys. This was in a book that was written about those times, and they were trying to get the voice of Sylvester the cat. If you guys remember, Sylvester had a lateral lisp, kind of like that. Sylvester, and they kept doing these voices, and the director was like, no, 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 that's not right, that's not right, and they there was like one more screening and they all actually had their resignations in their pocket because this is sort of like their Hail Mary pass and they did this voice. It turned what Mel Blanc did was he did a dead on imitation of the director who had this lateral lisp like this. So uh, they're watching Sylvester the cat on the screen, right? The animation screen. And um, the director goes, "That's fantastic. I love it." It was his voice. And they thought that he was going to fire all of them, but it was a huge hit. It was his own voice that they were imitating. Yeah, Mel Blanc. Okay, so bad impressions. The point is, people won't even, the point of that story is not to worry because your family members won't even recognize that you're doing them. It's something internally that you know that you're doing.
One more I just want to throw in there. I mean, everybody's familiar with Rocky and Bullwinkle,
Yeah.
and Paul Frees was the brilliant actor back in those days that did so many characters. But for Boris Badenov, he did an imitation of the actor Akim Tamirov. That's who he used for Boris Badenov.
Oh, wow.
He was a frustrated. He was so good at voiceover, but he was a frustrated on-camera actor. But he used Akim Tamirov, who was a big actor at the time,
Isn't
as
it fascinating?
Boris, and the rest is history.
It really is. So you can mix and match all these voices and all these characters and come up with your own unique stuff. It's really, really, really cool. And it's totally artistic and fun. So bad impressions is another one. And then core characters and spin-offs. That's what Paul and I were just talking about. So you have your main, okay, this is Uncle Harry right here, and his voice is a certain way. And what if I like made this piece a little higher, but it's still Uncle Harry at the core, right? And so suddenly, as you were saying, Paul, you might have 20 different voices off of one core character.
Yeah, totally, because it's all stemming from you, right? Ultimately,
Right.
you, the narrator, and your different points of view of these characters and the little quirky things that make them who they are. But the more that you embody who they are and really see them, that's what makes it real. It's not,
Yeah.
it's just not technical stuff. It's
No.
technical stuff. It is in a way, but more to make it more real and believable, you have to live these people. You have to see them as you're speaking them, that they are
Yeah.
a real person. And that's what makes it convincing.
And that's what's great about narrating an audiobook because you get plenty of content and material on the character in a book versus doing a cartoon or something else where the instruction might be a little thin. Um, when I both you and I, Paul, know Pat Fraley. Pat, some of you guys might know who he is. He's a wonderful voice actor and a great teacher out on the West Coast where Paul is. And he says, when you're doing characters, think of the seven dwarfs. What are they? Sleepy, sneezy, grumpy, whatever they are. And you really sometimes you want to just get really clear about the overarching attitude of that character. Are they mean? Are they this? Are they that? And that's a great jumping off point, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen to good things. Listen to how the voice actor did what they did. You know, why was it intriguing? Why was it entertaining? You
Yeah.
it was real. If you loved it, it was real. It spoke to you.
Yeah. That's great. So, by the way, Paul will be teaching you exactly how to do all this on June 7th in the upcoming audiobook character voice workshop. We got information on that in just a minute. So let's talk about dialogue, Paul, because that's the other challenge that people have. And this is where beginners really struggle, differentiating voices in character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's quite hard to distinguish characters, isn't it, Paul? Especially if they're of the same sex.
Yes and no. Yes and
Okay.
yes and no. As far as, I mean, we can't play it, but I mean, I played a little thing for Susan. We were talking about this, how we would put this program together, and subtlety, I think, is everything. And once again, embodying, what I do is I embody. I don't use technique as much as I embody the character. The more I see that character, what comes out is appropriate. The feeling, the body feeling of it. If it's a woman, you don't have to make great changes in the tonality of your voice for that to be convincing. And I played her something, and she said, who was the voice actor?" And I said, "It was me."
Yeah, when you played me something you did, I was like, who is that? It didn't
Yeah.
even sound like you.
So
Um,
I
but it's
understand.
difficult to convincingly voice the opposite sex, Paul. I think I have some mistakes in a second. It's also challenging to show age range. So these are the things that you guys are going to get technique on how to do in our upcoming workshop. How the reason you're going to all this trouble is it's not just the character, it's telling one from the other, making them distinct enough and making them really convincing. So when you're a woman, you're not like trying to actually do a man's voice and vice versa with a man doing a woman. The two of the most common mistakes, Paul, I think, are men doing falsetto for women and women doing like this kind of gruff thing. It's totally fake and not sincere. So what do you do when you have to voice a female voice?
I get their attitude. Who are they? Who are they? Because the story will tell you who they are, and the story will give you their attitude. In the conversation, they've got an attitude. That attitude that you uh, endow the voice with is enough to differentiate between a man doing a man talking to a woman. That dialogue there should be clear enough, because there's you suspend disbelief. You know that I am reading the book. I am reading the book. So now I'm talking about two people, a man and a woman speaking. The the interaction, and based on what's going on in the text, enables you to make that differentiation. It's very subtle. It's very subtle. I mean, for me, I go down. I get breathy. I get a little breathy to differentiate men from women, and it works. I fooled Susan.
Yeah, you fully. Yeah. Pacing too. I think women might tend to speak a little more quickly.
If it's a woman that's very kind of sultry and everything, then you play into that. I mean, the story gives you so much information. You know,
Right.
uh, it gives you so much information with what to do with this character. Uh, there's several women in there. They all have different objectives, and you play those objectives in the text.
That's great. And then the voice follows. So what you're
Mhm.
saying is you work from the bigger picture, from the story first on outwards.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's
Don't
great.
just do characters. Do the characters that exist within the story.
Yeah, that's cool. And of course, we're going to be teaching you all this, you guys, in our upcoming audiobook character voice workshop, which is on June 7th. So, here are 4 ways to successfully distinguish characters in dialogue. And you just talked about attitude, Paul. What about texture? How would you describe vocal texture?
Texture is what I do with my voice, again, to help just kind of differentiate that. It could be breathy, it could be a little gruff. Uh, I use that mouthing it, the way you mouth the words. Maybe the person has got a slight lisp, and so you use that. The way they pronounce certain things. Use the words. That will give you a lot of texture right there. Using the words
Yeah.
as you speak.
Yeah. Pacing too, speaking more quickly, more slowly, subtle pitch variations, like prosody, like the rhythm of someone's speech. People have staccato rhythms. Some people are very smooth and legato, so all of that can be played with too.
Um,
Choppy.
Going back to texture for a moment, it came to mind, something that I use sometimes is a sponge kind of technique where you're talking and you're absorbing the words. So that's different than breathing. So again, if you stay consistent with these little choices that you make, it's enough. Then, Nancy gets the sponge, Julie gets the breathiness. whatever it is, and then you just stay consistent with that.
Oh,
But
wow. Wait a minute. I've never heard of the sponge before. Can you just describe what that means a little more clearly? Because I'm not even sure.
a sponge kind of technique is like it's kind of eating the words a little bit. It's absorbing the words like a sponge absorbs moisture. So it gives me a feeling when I think of a sponge delivery.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. Well, I can't wait till this workshop for you to demonstrate the sponge technique and teach it to us. That's so cool. Must be working. They keep calling you back to do more things. That's great. So the question you guys should be asking right now is how do I move? You meeting Paul. So how do I move from knowing what I need to do, and you've just given us so much, Paul, I appreciate it, to actually creating great audiobook characters and performing them with ease. Many of you said you want to do audiobooks. What a great place to start, Paul. I can't think of a better person to give people what they need to know about technique.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I mean it. So, look, you can try to piece all this together yourself from YouTube videos, and it can get expensive. It can take years, and you might be incorrect or get a speed start and a proven formula with someone like Paul, which is what we always do here. This isn't for people who are unwilling to present themselves professionally, unreliable and flaky, who enjoy tricky or manipulative sales and marketing practices, or who want to simply get rich quick.